Go ahead.
Okay. So Facilities Committee meeting, October 13th, 2014, roughly 5:50. In attendance, we have Larry Speed, Brian Doty, Tamara Twardowski, Lauren Small, Mary Beth Torsha, and
Casey Blankenville.
Thank you, Casey Blank. So,
Casey, don't worry about the last
Yeah, don't remember the last name.
all right, and Lauren, what would you like to start with first?
Doesn't really matter.
Alright.
Let's see. On the probably we'll skip the use categories. That's the philosophical end of it. While Mary Beth is here, the Amity Township agreement meeting. The latest is we are scheduling by way of our facilitator, our athletic facilitator.
For
The fields.
yes,
For-
Yes.
For the Amity Fields.
yes.
Yeah,
And
yes.
We set the rates and we collect the fees.
Yeah.
Are we going to do that under our current fee schedule, or are we going to look at that as a
They
whole?
pretty much have adopted our a lot of our information. So I did sit down with Michelle Goss and I did talk to her about the fact that the township would be more than happy to give up the responsibility of scheduling. I do know that's a
Well, nothing to do with
yeah.
it. We met with Chaz, and he was like, "We don't know why we're
Yeah.
doing it, but
It's a huge undertaking.
we don't really want to."
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking, but it's something that she should be able to, manage once she gets on top of. She knows pretty much all of the teams that are utilizing the fields to begin with because they're the same teams that we're already trying to provide field usage for. It would just be any big outside organization, which right now there isn't any. But yes, we are. We just need to meet and make that transition smooth between us and Chaz. Sorry.
Okay. And I guess it's like I guess she's notifying then all the teams and the township if somebody calls them. They're
Yep.
saying
The township knows, and she knows as well for other things that
Okay.
they might call her for by mistake.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. So I think.
So we will be using the same fee schedule once we finalize our fee schedule.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And that would fall into that category where Michelle was appealing to this committee to say, could we please come up with a flat fee schedule for some of these organizations that are not trying to make money, but are just trying to, have places for their teams to practice, like our Amity AC basketball, the Mat Club at the high school, and the same would be for the midgets and the baseball teams. So.
Right.
This is something for us to think about. I think what I can do is she's pretty good at getting information back from all the other athletic directors in the county that she works with to see if they have a similar fee structure. And I'm sure there's places that don't charge. I know your experience at Wilson, you might have an idea if they charge their youth teams.
Wilson, they did not. I know the Muhlenberg Parks and Rec, when I was part of MTAA, the nonprofits did not pay, but any outside clubs did for their fields. And then there was you had the rights, like us as the primary youth group, we had first dibs on all facilities. And then if we didn't have it scheduled, then the church groups were second. And then after that, it was the club teams and that kind of stuff. So they actually had, if you go on their website, Muhlenberg Township Parks and Rec, you can kind of see how it's all set up.
But I think I get anytime though you throw out that, and I hate to say it, but that nonprofit. I mean, nonprofit doesn't mean you're not making money. For for example, one of the organizations that always used the fields that they were complaining about that doesn't anymore was Berkshire Baseball. It's a nonprofit, but they employ 5 full-time people. That's their job.
Yeah.
So. And they collect large fees for playing baseball. So I don't know.
That was our old category 2, was nonprofit when admission is charged or fundraising activities are conducted.
Okay.
So they fall into that. Category 1 was nonprofit.
But see, then like Blazer Midget Football does fundraising,
Right.
so they have half of that. I mean,
The fee structure that we have established
scary.
that would be difficult for them to maintain use, especially of our gyms, when you're looking at the mat club and the basketball.
If we could do a season fee,
Right.
as opposed to a per use fee or something.
So
Yeah,
I think
we're gonna have to go through all those.
right. I
That's
think we're
gonna
going to
be
have to get some more
one meeting.
information and move, continue to work at this. It's
Because
not
I
going to
agree
be.
with Tamara. I mean, there's nonprofit, then there's like nonprofit 1A.
Yeah, well, exactly, and they actually listed the associations at the Muhlenberg Parks and Rec. And What we would do is we would just give them a flat donation as if we had a good year of fundraising and there was a surplus of money. As I was treasurer and president, we would just cut them a check for $3, $4, or $5,000 and just say, hey, put this towards the expenses. We were nonprofit, but yet we still, if we
Plus
did
we
it the
all-
right way, we had a good year.
They could be a nonprofit, but they end up putting a lot of wear and tear on the facilities and stuff like
Reading
that.
Hospital is a nonprofit too. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's-
and some people,
Yeah,
right.
we owe them a little bit of money.
and some people take really phenomenal care of the fields, and some people don't. I mean, so
Should we just spend for the football material for field?
It'll be about $5,000 just for the turf infill, not including our time.
yearly.
Which is gonna take
That's
us-
that's each
No,
year,
that's-
or that's-
no, not
I don't
each
know
year.
when they did it last, but as a result of the grooming and whatnot, it located places that were low, and then since then it's gotten lower.
Yeah.
So last week we ordered the material.
Right. It's not yearly though.
Okay.
This is the first time that we've refilled
Is it
since
really?
since
Since
the
it was built?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll
Aren't you supposed to
spend.
do that every year?
When we clean it, we do clean it every year, and they do check it and maintain it. But there wasn't a request. I don't believe, and I shouldn't say that. I would have to go back and make sure that we didn't infill, but I don't recall Kenny sharing that information with me.
The guys told me that they never added
Right.
anything to it. And,
Right.
and if you're grooming it enough, the likelihood of having to do a large infill is minimal. To have a bag on hand so you can do it in spot areas. But they pretty much haven't done them. I mean, they groomed it, but they never added anything to it. So.
And the capital reserve doesn't speak to maintenance, it only speaks to capital. So they're
Right.
saying you're gonna replace it once in 20 years for $600,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think we're still kind of going to need to be working on the fee structure, and what I will come back to you with is an idea of what other nonprofit youth organizations might be paying in their areas, so that we can come up with, what type of fee do we want. I don't think there's a lot of money that we spend on our grounds because we're cutting the grass anyway. We have to maintain it. We obviously wouldn't let it grow. We're not adding anything to the fields that the younger kids are using, like here at Amity, even the middle school. Those fields are just being maintained with, cutting the grass and lining the fields if we have to play on them. But I don't think that we're maintaining the fields. I know that usually the youth teams come out, they line their own fields for baseball, football, that type of stuff. So it would really be just maybe tacking or finding out what our cost overall
We'll
is
have
to.
some infield mix on all the fields from time to time, all the baseball, softball.
Yeah.
Right. But we have to do that to maintain it for our middle school baseball team.
But that isn't
So-
every year.
No, and the one youth group, Goose told me that they supply us with all the line paint. They supply us with a skid of it, so she's reaching out to them to find out how much they're paying for that. We put it down. I said to them, I'd rather get an actual line painter and buy the paint in 5-gallon buckets. It'll be quicker for us, it'll be more cost effective for them going down the road as well. So that's one expense we don't
We
have
could
to
buy an
worry about.
aerosol?
Yeah, spray bomb.
Are you serious?
Buy the skid.
Yeah, we gotta address that one.
Buy the skid. They buy a skid a year,
You
supposedly.
don't even want to know what that is. if you're
But
buying
are
it.
we purchasing that?
No,
No,
they
they
supply
are.
it to us.
Right,
We
but
put
it would be
down.
Right.
better for them.
Right.
For them.
Give us
Yeah.
a donation.
Yeah. Yes, they do make that paint as a donation.
Well, I figured they can buy the painter. We'll keep the painter. They can buy the paint. They're already buying it. It'll be cheaper
Yeah.
for them down the road, so they'll be ecstatic that they're saving money.
Right.
They just didn't know.
They just
there was
didn't.
a-
Yeah.
You can buy a good line painter and it'll last you 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Take care of it, keep it clean.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And in one season, it pays for itself. With the cost of the line painter and the cost of the paint,
much
it's
faster.
a wash for the aerosol cans, and it saves us about half the time.
You don't have to throw away the aerosol cans either.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
I can also reach out to the superintendents in the county and have an email sent out to all of them asking what do other superintendents, the school districts do with regard to the youth programs in their community. Do they, have fees for them to use the buildings, the outside, et cetera, and just get an idea. So
Okay.
that's what I will come back with for next meeting.
Okay, so-
Anything else with regard to the facilities?
I don't think, so we're kind of tabling that, but keeping in mind.
I think every time we have conversation, there's more and more that we
Right.
need to gather before we, come up with a final decision. Right now, we are, collecting the $30 fee for submitting the paperwork just to, say that you would like to use our facility. And minimally, we have been charging for custodial costs, and we've been abiding by the fee structure, as closely as we can. We're giving a little bit of variance in that to those clubs right now until we come up with something that's solid, because they haven't really paid in the past.
And honestly, I don't know about the rest of the committee, but I'm okay with that angle as long as I think we need to, because we weren't really following any. If we can at least follow the application process, charging that,
I agree with
and
that.
then start working on this. To me, I would look at it as ideal for the next budget
Right,
year,
and that's what we said.
As far as cleaning that up.
Yes. So, okay.
Oh.
So that's what I
All
have.
right, you guys are okay with that?
We can't jam that thing down this year. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, it would never work.
we got houses that we don't even know are coming out of the ground.
All right, so we will. All
Gonna
right.
ride that one for a long time.
Do we? And I would say, why don't we save the reserve study for last? Just because the timing that way, if there's some of
Right.
these things we need to
Right.
get through.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
okay.
Okay, we did the transition house agreement. $1,000 a month. We discussed it in finance as well. If on the reserve study, they have incorporated $160,000 over 20 years for various improvements, siding, windows, roof, blacktopping, et cetera, et cetera. So if you take
It's on the
the
third page
Well, I
Okay.
see
near the bottom.
Yeah,
the first 3 pages are high school, and toward the end
there it is.
they have the house. The actual utility costs run about $2,500 per year. Right.
Yeah, we pay the utilities.
Right. Yeah, 2,500 for electricity, gas, water, and sewage.
Oh, okay.
So you're bringing in $12,000 a year in actual rent. You're responsible. Well, if there's an improvement made necessary for their program, they pay 50% of the materials, which I would say probably when you put the ramp in that was required, the handicap ramp, they apparently paid 50% of the materials, but we put it in.
Didn't you say that thing was falling down or something?
It's not in real good shape.
I haven't checked that out yet. I haven't gotten into that
Oh,
building yet.
So anyway, but that's the way the lease is written. Beyond that, we're responsible for all of the maintenance and upkeep. So if you took that $8,000 a year number, Mr. Basil wants to incorporate the factor based upon the purchase price. Well, that's fine, except they can't find the purchase price. They can't find the board action where they did it in 2009.
Oh,
I can't find the deed.
Well, and you can't even.
How do we even
and
know
you
we own it?
Well, you can't even trace it back to through the county because they incorporated it into the same parcel number.
Well, that was a year later.
Parcel.
I found
Okay.
that the documents here. I found in 2009 where the administration was authorized to go to the closing and buy it. Doesn't say how much. And when I went to the minutes of that date, all I found was a bond refinance. So then I found the documents for the merger of the two properties to make it a part of the high school property. That was in 2010. So, but the courthouse probably, we can
Right,
go on.
because I went to the county website, because you can find the sale price through the assessments.
Right.
Except for you can't pull up that parcel anymore.
right.
So I couldn't find it. But I wonder if,
But if
I
we
think it
can
was
get a
like
copy of the deed.
270,000, I think. It was, I remember, I wonder if we could just, I might Google the Mercury and see if we can find it out through the newspaper.
If I can get a copy of the deed,
Yeah, why not?
I think it'll be,
And you think that the sale was in 2009, or the
Yes.
purchase was 2009?
yes, because
Yeah,
I
probably.
found where,
Because I came on the board
where
in
they
10.
were authorizing the administration to go to the closing. There's the occupancy permit. That was in 10.
Who was the lawyer at the closing for the district? I wonder.
Oh, I wonder Subers might know.
Yeah, maybe he knows.
I would think he'd have a record.
Yeah.
Ask him. I'll ask him.
I can't believe that.
Hey, Brian, remember closing on the house?
Well, probably this fellow Comer up there would have done it. He's their real estate guy.
Oh, yeah.
But
Same
I'm
firm?
just thinking in their file somewhere they probably have a folder on a file.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't it be in our minutes? Like that.
Well, it would have to, especially if we're approving
It
the
should have been on a
grant, but
bill list at some point.
Adopted by the board this 14th day of September of 2009, authorizing Danielle Penza or Gary Otto to attend the settlement, acquisition of property.
What's the? Is that a check?
This was a rebate from the title insurance company in September of 9 for $400. So I'll find it, but that was just one. In the finance committee, Mr. Basil thought we should approach it from a depreciation standpoint.
And I don't know what everybody else
So
thinks.
you want
but
to depreciate it?
He thinks that there should, rather than just use the $8,000 from the.
right, they should be paying something towards the maintenance. To the long-term
Yeah.
maintenance.
Well, the maintenance
Cost.
is one thing, but the asset value, that's what he wants to do. He wants to depreciate the value of the asset.
Put it all together between the actual maintenance, the improvements, windows, roof, and.
But we
come
own
up
that.
with
That's not financed, is it? That.
Unless they.
Well, it could have been
bond
rolled into a
issue.
bond, yeah.
Because there was a bond issue on the same date as this, and refinancing, and perhaps that was a part of it. 'Cause
Refinancing other debt.
it was a refinancing of 2004 bond issue in September of 2009, the same date as that document authorizing them to go to
That's
the
a little
closing.
coincidental.
Well,
Right.
they needed it it was part of the
Purchasing for
stadium.
part-
It was part of the stadium
Yeah.
project.
Oh,
So.
right. It was just another line item in that.
Could
Right.
be. But, but anyway, those are the real hard direct expenses, if you will, of utilities.
Why
My thought is I would think they should pay for the utilities.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
agree.
using it. Now, I can understand maybe we don't want them to pay them direct because you want to make sure they're paid. But then I think, I would try to see if maybe we can make rent $1,200 next year or $1,250 a month, whatever. And then
Cover it,
we're
yeah.
getting the
Yeah, I
utility fees back at least. I don't know. That's just my thought.
In regards to the
Well, I agree.
depreciating it, why couldn't we just use a current market value rather than purchase price?
I was just going to get it as accurate as I could based on
Yeah.
what we paid for it and run numbers that way. But anyway,
Yeah.
but back to her comments here. $2,500 a year is $200 a month, round numbers, $250.
I think they should pay for it too.
Yeah, because in addition, you could say in addition to this is the trash removal, because that's covered by us.
Oh, okay.
All they pay is the phone.
Right, and it seems kind of silly that we pay the electric and all that.
When's the lease up?
By December 29th, thereabouts. It was actually leased in a leap year on February 29th, so it's prior
It
to.
just gets better.
Well, isn't it a yearly lease? It's a yearly lease that we have to
automatic
notify
renewal.
them a certain
60
60 days
prior.
in
60
advance.
in
So
advance.
if we want to make changes, we would have to notify them by December
29th.
29th. But me personally, I'd rather do it early. If we know, so I would suggest that we recommend to the board that we write them a letter and say, listen, we didn't, we need to recoup some of the utility costs, and we would like to.
Do we have to say, well, we're just going to do
Right. Well, you can do whatever, but I think, and when they signed the lease, they didn't know what the utilities were going to be realistically.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they didn't look at it that way, but that'd be my recommendation.
I agree. Let's do that. Let's recommend to the
Now, they
board to
could-
do that.
The flip side, they could walk away. And then we're stuck with.
Well, okay, well then we'll
What
talk.
else?
I mean, that's fine.
But,
we'll talk about it. If they want to go to the mat on something like
Right.
that, then
Yeah, we're $200.
we'll chat about it. But I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Okay, well, then we can make that recommendation.
It's funny how facilities always seems to dovetail with revenue enhancement.
Yes, it does. It does. Well, that's why we normally meet at the same time, but that would be, I guess, is the lease? Would the lease
Shelley
be
has-
discussed? But would that be discussed executive session wise, or I mean, we just
No,
discussed it on tape now.
Yeah,
but-
I think that's public. Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely is public. Yeah.
Rewind.
Alrighty then.
Full of rosemary wood.
Did you have anything else under the agreement other than just to? Okay. All right.
Hear that?
I'll bring that up then.
Summer van use is the next item, and
Is that
quite
from the community center?
well, the community center of Birdsboro had borrowed our vans for the last couple of summers.
Right.
It was something that was they approached Michelle Goss about. At the time, Kenny was here as well and connected, and you felt like that would be a good way to build a little revenue. And so with Dr. Otto being in charge, they more or less said, go ahead, do it. Told Michelle to draw something up that gave them responsibility in making sure that they provided driver's license, and that they were going to provide insurance, and that the vans would be gotten back in the same use that they were lent to, and that they were not allowed. There was a restriction on mileage as far how far they could go. It really was meant to go from the community center to some of the local areas like the pool, which is just like right up the hill, and probably back down to the community center. I'm not sure where else they went. If it was small field trips, it was somewhere within Birdsboro. So it became nobody really knew about it within the board or even myself, because it was just something that was done. It was just something that was renewed each year because they had done it. And, now we're looking at our, I guess vans are assets. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that, and we don't have a lot, and we don't have a lot of money to be able to replace things, and they are in good working condition. So we want to come back and say, do we really want to continue this? I know it's been a help to the community center, but, what about if something were to happen? And if we do want to continue with this agreement, should we have Brian Subers draw up something that's more concrete? I personally don't see the value in us lending out our two vans during the summertime, even though they are sitting there. I think that I'd rather have them sitting there than being used and being put in a compromising, situation. Even with the windows being left open because it was hot and they didn't want to get into the van as warm, and then they forget to push them shut. At the end of the day, that's what really had gotten. I think Mr. Rathgab's attention when he drove by, and again, he didn't really see a problem with it. They weren't misusing them. They've come back in good running condition. They have upheld their part of it, but I think moving forward we need to just determine, do we really want to lend out our vehicles? I'm not sure what the mileage is on them. I'd have to ask Michelle or look myself.
We're going to start doing monthly logging of all of that.
How many vans are we talking about?
Two.
Just two.
Yes, just two.
Two athletic vans.
Yeah.
The rest are used by maintenance.
And they're also used by the music boosters for transporting, band equipment, or some students, cheerlead. They're used for various things, throughout the school year. They're used pretty hard during the school year. Bowling team monopolizes them. Our life skills classroom uses them for a lot of their field trips that they're running, during the school year with her group of students. So, we would really be hurt if we lost one, that it wasn't our
we
own
had to buy it.
responsibility, right?
Yeah, even though they're insured, you're never going to get
Right.
full amount out of it.
So,
And while we're on the subject of vehicles, just what Mary Beth was saying, Casey is moving forward with getting some numbers together because our fleet of vehicles is not healthy. One truck won't pass inspection right now. If we can get it fixed, it's going to cost us
Couple $1,000.
easy for cat corners and whatnot. And it's one that has been used for plowing, which it never should have. But we can't, I guess we could trade it and get what we could get out of it. But anyway, we're moving forward with getting some prices through the state Coast Guard. And slowly begin to upgrade because, and in fact, I was surprised that he was kidding me last week when he came and told me because I thought that was one of the better vehicles in the fleet. And it isn't.
How big? So we have vans, we have trucks, right? What other vehicles are in our fleet?
trucks.
We have,
Well, pickup trucks, but
Yeah.
we use those for plowing, right?
well, we contract the big lots, but right now you have
4 pickups.
You have a 2000 Ford 3/4 ton, which is used by maintenance for plowing. Ford
That's one
dual.
Blanchard's in right now,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you have Kenny's old truck, which is a half-ton 2005. I don't know, we got to get the mileage logged in, Casey. And then we have a 1988 Chevy pickup.
Okay, that one sounds a little old.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw some at
that
Hershey
plastic
last weekend
plates?
that were newer. Then we have, we'll get to this, the 92 we're scrapping, another 92 that we're still using, right, Casey?
Uh-huh.
Then we have the GMC dump truck, which is an 82.
Which
Then
we'll be
we-
using now because the Ford doesn't pass inspection.
Then we have two maintenance, well, two vans called maintenance. One is the runner van, the mail bank van. One's a 2001, one's a 2007. And then we've got the box truck, the international, the van truck, maintenance, whatever you want to call it.
spanned, yeah.
And then we have another 1984 that has been parked over by the maintenance barn forever. That's on the list for junking. Then we have two 2009 GMCs, which are what we're talking about, the
van.
athletics. And then we have the 2001 Ford F-150, which will pass inspection. That's it. So,
Well, going back to the summer van thing, I agree with you. I think we should get out of that deal.
Right.
I'm sensitive to the needs of the community. I'm sure it's been a great deal, but I mean, hearing this litany of heaps that we have,
Right.
you know, we might be pressed into using one of these vans for something, I don't know what, but you know, what the thing that concerns me is the liability.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, that's what concerns me.
Yes.
Right, and I agree, and I think no harm, no foul so far. It's been a good thing for them. I think
Right.
moving forward, we just say we're sorry, we're not going to continue this agreement anymore. There's nothing that's binding us
Right.
to it. We don't have to. It's something that we've entered into each year. So we'll just give notification to the.
Yeah, let's give them. If they only use it in the summer, let's just
Yeah.
go ahead and tell them now.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, so that they can start working on what their approach will be.
and you're all right with us assessing the state of the fleet and coming back with
Yeah.
recommendations?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like
You didn't
to
find a
get-
Lamborghini in there
Your
hidden in
fleet's
there
worse
somewhere or
than my
something like that,
work
did you?
fleet.
Well, and who knows how this? I mean, depending on the winter, those trucks really took a beating this past winter with the
Yeah.
amount of plowing that they were
Oh,
doing,
God.
and each one of them were plowing. There's some that should not have been plowing.
This Ford
Yeah.
was
Have we
part of
ever
its
looked at
meeting for plowing because a half-ton truck
contracting
should
that
not be
out?
used
We
for
do
plowing.
with Bear. Bear does
right.
come and take care of our
Like
bigger
maybe your
lots, the high
driveway.
school and part of Amity,
Like
but we
once
do
a
plow
week.
the middle
Yeah,
school
clean up.
and because the cost for
Yeah, they're all
for
straight blades
it's
too,
it's
so
huge.
You're constantly
So-
pushing.
Because we
Ah,
our guys
sure.
are
Parking lots, it just
Right.
Whatever. All right.
But the amount of money that because they bring in their big trucks, they take the snow away because
What
there's
I'd
no
like
place else to go with it.
understand is,
Yeah.
How, like, what's the life expectancy with the type of work that we're doing with one of these trucks? And then really, does it last as long as they used to? Which usually thinks today it's no.
Well, no, nothing lasts as long.
Yeah, so like,
But even so,
should we get out of it?
if we're using 3/4 or 1 ton, which 2 of ours are, but the rest are half tons. You don't plow with a half ton. You
Yeah.
don't haul whatever with a half ton. So we just, like I said to Casey today, we just got to take it in bite-sized pieces here and get this fleet replaced with reliable equipment.
When I was at Wilson, all their trucks were anywhere between like 2002s to 2007s. There again, you don't put many miles on them. A lot of the winters have been pretty easy. But this past winter, I mean, we blew up 3 transmissions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, because we clear all of our own snow, so we're doing it all with pickup trucks. And we just so many hours of just constant pushing, and they were already fatigued, and this winter definitely broke all the weak ones. So we had 3 trainings go. So it's.
And I think they tell you. I mean, in our world, I think they tell you you should be looking at 5-year cycle, right? 10 max, and I mean,
do we finance this or buy them?
I've done it both ways.
I mean,
We'll see what we got. Let's see what this.
and I would have to say, when it came down to purchasing a new vehicle or purchasing things that were going to take away from the kids, that's where Kenny always came in and said, I can take from my budget, we can eke out another year, and it's been year after year, and he didn't come up to take a breath and say, okay, now I need to, look at my department, and I know that's what his motivation was, or what his reasoning for things were. So
the other line that I would like to kind of tie this in, vehicles, right? That would be one more that
we are looking at vehicles. You've got your capital there. We're looking at the maintenance of
The
buildings.
maintenance component.
Then we've got the vehicles as far as vans and trucks, and then we've got the equipment, the turf equipment, which is also snow removal equipment. So it's kind of a 4-faceted type.
So we'll add that into the mix here.
Well, I mean, the goal in all of this, right, just to kind of reiterate, was that we were trying to figure out how much we were supposed to be putting in capital reserves every year.
right.
And now we're not doing anything, which is
Right.
scary to me.
Exactly.
Deferred maintenance will always come back to haunt you.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have to put that in the mix too. That'll be part of the equation as far in addition to this.
Yeah, because I don't know how many years it's been that we've been going along like we are today.
I
So,
would say
how much
probably from 2009, 10, 11, the first year that we went $9 million apart, and then each year, I think that was the worst year, and so at least 4 years, 5 years.
Okay.
Too long, maybe 2 or 3 would have been okay.
Yeah.
yeah, you can only do that for so long, and
It's going to come back.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, this is just FYI, wrap up of the lease over at the Brook Building.
stuff outstanding.
Well, there were some keys that for some of the main locks apparently that weren't. How does he describe it here? 13 office doors in the suite. Keys were only returned for 7. This means that I have to rekey each of these remaining locks. So we'll be getting a bill, I guess, for that. And there's some small items. Casey's going to take care of stripping and waxing the restrooms are supposed to be done. The big item is the carpeting. Has been cleaned as I had requested, for the most part in good and acceptable condition. Now, I haven't looked at the original lease, but
We were responsible for replacing the carpet, and they gave us the opportunity to try to clean it, because when they moved something somewhere along the line, they created a rubber mark, and I don't, whoever did it, and that's like right in the middle of the walkway. So it's not like it's in one of the offices where you could just replace that area. It was there. So he gave us the opportunity to clean the carpets, and that's where he's saying, it looks good for the most part, but this area might need to be.
he said, I'm going to try to lease the space as is.
Right.
This remains an open item, however.
Okay.
So,
Right.
just FYI.
And the office doors that he was talking about, like my office over there, I never took the key out of. So my key was there because there was really, I locked up my filing cabinets. There was nothing else to steal. So a lot of the doors were left that way. But then some people, who were locking their doors. I'm not really sure where those keys are or why they would be gone, but they would have had to be there because they were trying to get in and out of them. But so I'm not really sure. And I don't think it's necessarily just those office doors, but I think there were keys that were given out for the main to get in.
Right.
So I think that's part of the problem. So just the amount of time that we've leased that and the amount of people that have come through. So that would be something that we really need to get a good handle on, is eventually getting our keys here.
I gave him the keys I had. I know Phil gave him the keys he had. So I know we're gaining on.
And I have a set that I realized I dumped in the bottom of my drawer, so I have those for to give to them as well.
Oh, so we may have more.
We
than
may
we
have
realized.
more, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was as a
Yeah.
result of surrendering. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So,
Great.
Not so bad.
Yeah,
It is
Okay.
hard to keep track of keys after years.
I know.
Okay, the disposition of assets, I had mentioned, first of all, the two trucks. One is over by the barn, the other is at a garage someplace on 422. And so I just simply need to put a resolution on the agenda for those two trucks. And he's going to make arrangements for somebody with a rollback to get them to a scrapper, and we'll go with the titles and get rid of them.
Is that the bucket
One of
truck
them,
and the?
No?
Okay.
I've heard it. That would be
That's the one at the garage on 422.
One is a 1992 Chevrolet van that they pulled the engine out of to put in one of the 1980 Chevy pickups. And like Mary Beth just said,
It's been a shocking project.
that's it.
We already robbed Peter today.
Can I ask
baby.
that the facilities committee bring this up for discussion at tonight's committee of the whole, so that I can put it on for the voting meeting, so that we can do
no,
that?
Yeah, put it on.
All right.
I just wanted to know
Yeah.
what it wasn't. So it's not the bucket truck. It's a
No.
it's a 92.
92 Chevy van and an 84 Chevrolet truck.
84 truck, you said. Okay.
And the one was, I think the 84 truck was sitting there when Kenny got there. It was something that just kind of died on
And
the
we-
property, and nobody decided to bury it or move
Been
it,
there a
or
while.
right.
And we do have titles for both of those.
Yes.
And you just want to salvage them. You just
Yeah.
want to have
Yes.
somebody come
Yeah.
in. Okay.
And I have the titles. That's
Okay. And okay.
So if you would just add that you would like, that you're going to direct administration to put this on the voting meeting agenda, so that we can move.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we want to make it happen.
Yes.
In addition, disposition of assets. Back in the winter, when you leased the boiler for BEC, you had the lease and then it had to be installed. So a firm, 3B Services, was contracted to hook the boiler up. We had an additional invoice for round number $33,000 for the hookup, which was
Just the portable board?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
$5,000 for the boiler plus the hookup. So as a result, the boiler was hooked up. You did what you needed to do and kept the building warm. And a month or so ago, the Matt Blansky, is that his name, from 3B Services, contacted Mary Beth and said that we had used flexible 4-inch hose piping for the hookup, and he'd like to buy part of it back of what he used. And so that's how I got into the invoice.
$7 less a foot than what he sold it to us.
He wants to pay us
$3.
$3 a foot and charge us 12 something.
Yeah.
But as
Sorry,
As
$10 less. 11.
dug for the invoice for the job, I said, well, that's fine. I found the hose here for $3,600, but where's the rest of the material?
Excuse me, this is extra hose?
No, they don't need it
He
anymore
used-
because.
well, some of it's brand new, but they billed us for $300. He wants to buy back $200.
Okay.
But anyway, my question was, where's the rest of this? And I was told that it left with the boiler. So when Blansky called me the other day and said, "Wait, where are we at? Can I buy this hose?" I said, "Where did you leave the rest of the material?" Because there was $15,000 worth of miscellaneous piping and valves and
15 grand?
yeah, all
For a
kinds of-
temporary connection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, I left it all on site." But our guy said, "No, you didn't. It left."
Well, I can see where this is going.
So
All because we couldn't vote to put a boiler in when we needed to put a boiler
exactly.
Well,
in. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
first of all,
Might have been before you.
Yeah, it's
This won't die.
Yeah.
It will never
but
die.
for the same contractor to come back and offer us 3
on stuff he probably has in his yard right now, right?
well, no,
Tell him we want our 15 grand back.
well, my position is simply this. We got the use of some of the material while it was here. Casey looked over the invoice.
It's our new cost-cutting measure. Don't worry about it.
He looked over the invoice, and then he was in the boiler room today. You can tell him what you found.
The only thing that's there is just some piping outside underneath the tarp. They charged us for a pump. The pump's not there. $2,600 or $2,800 for a pump. It's not there anywhere because it would be a base mount pump. I mean, it would be something I could. Why they didn't use the existing pumps is beyond me. But anyway,
The hot tap valve.
the hot tap valves that they charged us what $1,500 or
$2,800.
$2,800. They didn't use hot tap valves. They just welded fittings on the side of the piping and threaded on a normal standard ball valve. I know this company. My dad actually started that division and actually left and started the business I then sold, so I'm not surprised by this. So that being said, there's a lot of items there that they charged us for that if we're doing a rental, you rent it.
Right.
Right.
You're not buying it. He charges full price for everything and then took all of it with him.
Who took? Wait, who's the boiler? Did we rent the boiler from them?
Yes. Same firm.
Same firm.
So, yeah, we rented,
Well, I don't
but they
understand
charged
why
us.
that wouldn't be part of the rental.
I agree with you.
The rental
Yeah.
was $5,000. That's
And
one
the
purchase
install was
order.
33.
The
$33,000.
way temporaries are usually
When did we
handled,
approve that?
whenever I put them in, was
We didn't. It was an emergency.
You
I
approved the
rented-
boiler, so
I rented all the hosing, all the connectors. I rented everything as a package. The only time the customer paid for any parts was anything I had to do as a tie-in because I'm buying it specifically for that job.
Right.
And I would tell the customer up front, listen, there's going to be $1,000 or $2,000 in parts, just tees and miscellaneous items that I'm going to have to buy that are specifically for this job. If I use them, it's going to be 2-3 years down the road. If I keep them, I'll throw you a credit the next job I do or whatever. What they did here is just they charged you for every single item, which I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't sit there and go through all that, but
It's our recourse.
Can we? I was thinking we have Subarus write a letter that we want all those parts back.
Well,
that we had paid for?
I'm kind of thinking along those
that's
down
where
that road.
and that's where Lauren was at too. He is going to go back to them and tell them, look, you owe me $10,000
in parts.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have, and I don't mean this way it sounds, but I don't know if we want to sick Brian on them right from the get-go. Maybe we just have you guys write a letter, or Lauren, you just write a letter and say, gee, fellas, look at this, line by line by line by line. We have a discrepancy here. Why don't we sit down and talk about it?
And I hit him up the other day. I'm glad he called me the other day because
We wouldn't even know.
I just, as I said, I kind of played stupid when he called me, even though I didn't know. In fact, I've got a chunk of the hose out here on the loading dock in case somebody wanted to see it that I brought over. But I as he described what he wanted, I said, oh, this was part of the original, the hookup of the temporary. Yeah. I said, okay, well, I happen to have the invoice in front of me. You left the 4-inch hose here. Where did you leave the rest of the material? There's $15,900 worth of material here. Oh, he said, it's all there. Left it right there. And I didn't say to him, that's not what my guys say.
You want to get into it then?
No, I just dropped the issue, told him that there was a facilities committee meeting tonight. I'd get back to him. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, Phil Kerr did not see any of those materials either. He said anything that was left was at the same place that the hose was. So,
Is there any?
and there's brand new hose that's banded on pallets that
It's
they
sitting
never
there.
even
Like it
opened.
came from the
So
distributor
why would
from
we?
Graham or whatever.
Why would they bill us for something we didn't need? Like that doesn't even make any
because
sense.
he thought he could.
Well, and then he's not getting it back at $3 a foot
Right.
when
Right.
he paid.
So you want to have them write the letter, Sam? Or you want-
Yes, we could start with you guys. And if they want to buy the pipe or the hose, they can. We'll give $11.50.
Casey and I said, we'll throw in all 300 feet for $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. They can have it all back.
It almost sounds like they
Well, you
ordered
guys-
extra and
you
billed
guys
us
kinda have
for it
the
so
right
they
idea.
could buy it
Yeah.
back at a reduced price.
But I just,
That's shady.
I when I stumbled onto this, I said,
Plead the fifth.
I can't let the assets of the district slip through my fingers.
Yes, would
that's
you guys
smelling a
please-
little bit too.
Why don't you see what you can do, and if we have to, then we'll elevate it.
And we'll get Brian involved.
But before I'd sell that to them for $3 a foot or whatever, I would
What Mary Beth said
sell
the
it to
first
somebody.
day.
I'd put it on
That's
eBay.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll keep the hose. I'll figure something out to do with it before they get it back for $3
because I
a
would
foot,
guess
so.
somebody else might give you 7 or 8 if it's brand new
Right.
and unused.
Or more.
The chunk
Or
is like
more.
on the docket frame, I'm pretty sure.
They just cut a piece off of it.
Well, I'm glad you guys brought that up, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's-
Yes.
Thank you.
On your toes stuff right there. Good.
Okay, disposition of a bucket truck that we don't own. What do we want to do? Casey, you want to jump in here? Casey's assessed the situation in the 2 weeks he's been here.
We got a bucket truck we don't own?
One of the first days I was here, I walked in the garage
like
and
the
there
house.
sits this truck. And I said, oh, we have a bucket truck. Well, we do, but we don't, the guy said. So I said, all right, what's the deal? Well, long story short, we have it. We have
Torsia
the
won't let us
title.
use it.
It's not insured. It's not registered. They used to have another truck follow them when they would use it. Just so,
It's got to be a story behind that one.
Oh,
So-
Kenny traded it for something.
yeah. So, long story short, I have no need for it, for what you're going to spend in upkeep, insurance, and expense. To do street parking lights and stuff like that, I'll hire a contractor that has a bucket truck. I can hire one for about $100 an hour with a technician that, he's up there, he's fixing it. It's all they do. It makes no sense to have your own. So,
It's a 30-year-old truck.
We can't even
it's
put
an
one
old
of our
FedEx
employees
truck, I
up there
believe.
for $100
And it's not in our name.
No, it's in the name of a painting company in Limerick.
Has it signed?
Title signed on
Seller's
the back.
painting. Seller's painting. That's
I'm trying to think if I.
Right now, it's
recommend-
parked inside the garage. They've kept it inside the garage just to keep the weather and stuff off of it. So,
Is it any good?
Is it-
is
I mean,
falling
is
apart
it-
pretty bad?
no, it's actually a pretty solid truck. It's
Can we
just-
sell it?
Well,
If
We
we
don't
get
own
that
it.
cleared up?
Yeah, but it's signed.
It's signed.
So
but
you could just sign it to the
it's
next
Signed
signed
over
over
one.
us?
notary. Some notaries want them to appear in
No,
person.
oh, you just have to
Kenny
find
did
the right
send me
notary.
a text and asked me what we were going to do with the bucket truck, and would we be interested in selling it to him. I think Kenny Smith, inquired via email to me or text to me saying what he's doing with the bucket truck because he knows that I had it grounded, or between Lauren and I that we had it grounded. Pretty much. Lauren, said it's grounded. The guys were going to go use it. I said, no, you're not using it because they wouldn't automatically go to Lauren. So I'm like, no, it's grounded. So Kenny knows that it's not going to be used here. I think that the company that he's working for,
It
not
wasn't
sure.
even notarized. I thought it was.
Not
theirs
sure
was
what they would use it
notarized.
for, but he's inquiring as to what we would like to sell it for because he may have a buyer.
Let's get a fair market value.
Can
Sell
you
it.
ask him how the heck he bought the thing? Like,
It
Well,
was
they did a
traded
trade.
for a tractor.
Yeah.
And it involves another maintenance
backhoe.
employee. The maintenance employee got the truck, didn't transfer the title, came to Kenny. This is Kenny's chronology. And it said, hey, how about I trade you this bucket truck for the 1954
Ford.
International backhoe? So they did the trade.
so like, hey, good deal.
However many
There's
years
your
ago.
classic plate, 54.
Yeah. Well, God, I love
Our
Kenny, but
municipality
geez, the
doesn't
good
have a
old boy
bucket
stuff,
truck.
it just
Yeah.
doesn't fly.
No.
Can't do
Yeah.
And that was done how many years
But
ago? I mean,
honestly,
that was.
that stuff happens all the time.
was-
in a good old. I
yeah.
mean, it happens
Spit on
all
your
the
hand
time.
and shake kind of thing just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Well, I don't know how much the International, I'm saying Chevy here.
Well, how would we couldn't even dispose of it? Is that company even still in business?
I have no idea.
Well, let's find out if they are, and if, obviously there's some
Yeah,
question
let's
about
go.
who does own it. So,
For 10% of above
you guys put that on your
market
to-do list?
Maybe that
The headache.
antique backhoe is worth more than the
It
bucket
may
truck.
be, it
Yeah,
may
but
be.
did we
Maybe
sign
we
the
want it
title
back.
to that over?
Well, no title for that. See?
If you guys want to do it back, I don't want to know about it, okay?
Well,
Let's make it happen in the
if
middle of the night.
if we rewound everything and got our backhoe back, we could probably sell our backhoe. We'd be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm not
New
sure
mower
how
or
we
something,
dispose of it
Yeah.
if we don't know.
All I could say is, when you hired me, you didn't tell me I was going to have this much fun.
Nor I.
It's the old bait and switch.
Wait, the fun has only just begun. I
Yeah.
can only imagine the the skeletons that we continue to dig out. No
Yeah,
pun
really.
intended. So you want us to try to find a fair market value on that, try to...
Well, I would
Try to
try
sell
to
it.
find.
Yeah, how
Who owns it?
I would try to find out if
Right.
Cellar Painting is still in existence,
Right.
because if they don't, if they are, then maybe we can get them to notarize that signature.
Sit out of the painting
So it'll make it official so that we do own it.
Right. If they aren't,
Drive around, look for trucks.
I don't really know.
There's
You'd
a-
have to get a You'd have to probably file. You'd have to file for like a salvage site, like when when
our title.
yeah, but when they abandon it at the shop, you have to go through all that hoops.
Yeah.
But it's like building a vehicle.
Yeah,
But the
that's-
truck
So-
itself is truly
It's probably worth it to somebody that
yep.
uses it all.
Well, let's try to find out who owns it. And if we can get it in our name, and then let's get rid of it. That's what I would
What
say.
year is it?
86.
86.
But if it's, I mean, it's something that it's workable and you could sell it to somebody.
I don't.
If all this other stuff.
I don't. I would prefer not to sell something of that nature without super
Wait,
crafting an agreement, because
Affordable painting by Henry Sellers.
you'd have to do it as is, and all that kind. If it's yours, I mean,
We done?
that's what we do with our old trucks. It's just sealed bids.
As is.
And,
Give them a call tomorrow.
right, we don't
Yeah.
no warranty,
Ask
nothing.
Henry if he
it
remembers
is
this
what
whole
it is.
transaction.
extra or implied.
It may work, it may
You need to
not. We
post
don't
it,
know. We
maybe?
don't care.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, it
phone
looks
number.
like it's
They
still
have a
there.
website, 610-489-6492,
649.
Henry Sellers.
Do they have
there's a
picture of any
board
of their
member in the
equipment?
Antietam School District, the last name is Sellers, and I'm...
That would be funny.
You would die if there
I
was a
wonder
backhoe in
if
that
that's
picture.
Click to view our
They
equipment.
had a lift truck in front of
There
their
it
house
is.
that they were
Yeah.
renovating for the longest time.
Who we are and what we have,
I think Phil's
I'll
still
have to
got
call
that.
her.
Really?
I think so. That was just the pieces I put together as I started asking questions.
You're like a regular Columbo these days.
Yeah, sure.
It's crazy.
Now let me get this straight.
Well, when he said about playing dumb with the other guy, I was like, yeah, Columbo, I see it.
The last one's yours, Mary Beth. The golf carts.
Oh, the golf cart. The Sports Boosters has provided a new golf cart for our athletics, and the other golf cart that was there was donated by M&G Security, and he had purchased it for the old athletic facilitator or director before, Tom Legath. I don't remember what her name is, Ruth maybe, but anyway, I believe that she was disabled in some way, so he had gotten this golf cart for her to be able to get around the fields and etc. So that golf cart is really been around for a long time. The boosters felt that there was a need for a new golf cart. They went and fully, purchased it and donated it to us. It will become our property as a result of their gift.
When they do that?
I did send you all a board update probably a few weeks ago, letting you know that the Boosters Club was going to purchase a new golf cart, and it actually arrived and was delivered the night of homecoming.
Oh, nice.
So it's bright orange. You can't miss it. It comes
Why
in.
bright orange?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Hey, it's a gift. Come on.
Yeah, I said Carolina blue also. I thought that would have been the appropriate color, but the orange is great. It does provide seating in the back. It's an addition to help, especially at graduation when we're transporting a lot of folks back and forth to the stadium, and even now currently when we have people who are handicapped, it does help to be able to move them around. So thank you to the boosters. I will send a thank you card on behalf of the school board for this donation. But just so you know, we have something new. Now, the other golf cart, because I told the maintenance
The
crew.
one that hit Ms. Wolf.
No, that was a gator. That was
I
the
know. I
gator.
was gonna say, can we get rid of that?
But no, we had it fixed. It's repaired. But I did tell the one of our maintenance crew at the high school that they are not allowed under no circumstance to be driving the new golf cart. But I had gotten the old golf cart sent over to the maintenance department so that they did have something to tool around with, because then that way they don't have to put the wear and tear on the gator, which is also a donation from the athletic boosters to the sports club. So
Both
now
gators?
yes, They are part of.
The athletic
Yep.
department has quite a fleet.
Yes.
It is nice, yeah.
So
Get your arms around it.
yeah, those are
Their
donated.
fleet's better
right.
than ours. Their fleet's way better than ours.
Yeah. So anyway, the other golf cart that was originally donated by M&G, I have given to our crew at the high school so that they, are in something that will be far less.
You're gonna let Greg drive that around.
No, I told Eric he was never allowed to drive the other vehicle, and that he shouldn't even be driving this one. That Louis should probably be the designated driver.
And we let Eric know that if he does do anything to it, if he is driving it, just to give us his resignation.
Right,
to go
and to
home.
run.
Is he the one that?
Does he have a license? Do we let him drive our trucks?
I don't, but I think Kenny. I think Casey might have to allow him to.
So, to back up, you had verified that the original golf cart truly is ours.
Truly is, yes. I did verify that.
And I don't know if there any action was ever taken back then, but we should have a resolution accepting this, at least this new one, as a gift in kind to the district. And then I'll have Casey get the model and serial number of both of them so I can get it on the insurance schedule.
Yay!
So that
Yeah.
if they inadvertently run into someone or whatever,
If we have another wolf incident.
Yeah.
well, that could happen, but just, a golf cart, even if it is orange, on a dark night at a football game,
Yeah.
buzzing around, they don't make a lot of noise.
Yeah, they
Right.
said they wanted lights installed on this one too, like the other one did, and I was like, well, we'll see.
Well, but nevertheless.
Reflective
we
tape.
need to-
Well, it's probably good
Much
because you
cheaper.
never know when the stadium lights will go out on with the full football stadium
We'll buy a couple mag
full
lights.
of people.
Some extra batteries.
Tape them on.
Duct tape 'em.
That'll be attractive.
Hey, this is the Daniel Boone way.
Do you want to bring? Do you want to bring
Camera.
this up as well for discussion so that I can get that on to the voting session at the?
A resolution, you mean
Yes,
accepting it?
yeah.
But since they're already on premise, Casey
Right.
will bring me those numbers tomorrow, we'll fax them right over to
Right, and I did, I did bring this to the board's attention through my board update, and I did authorize saying it was okay for them to purchase it as a gift to us.
So they can
Okay.
run a boat for
Nice.
games and stuff.
Nice.
Okay,
All right.
now are you doing more with the reserve study, or are you?
Larry's got that pretty well deciphered. I thought maybe he'd report out. No, just kidding. That is the actual hard copy, the way we got it, and then the other one, like I say, I summarized just by building it by year.
Yeah,
So if you, as you scan that skinny little summary, and you say, what in the world did you spend that much for that year? That you can flip the pages there and say, oh.
Have you had a chance to review this at all yet?
Not to a great degree. One thing I'll point out to you, the way they run their numbers, if you look up at the very top, explanatory notes or whatever, everything is based on a flat 2.6% inflation factor for 20 years.
Is that for for all
For everything.
for every per year? 2.6%. Okay.
And one thing I looked at as I was running numbers for the fees that we charge here. I said, I wonder what they're saying a gym floor would cost. And I looked, and well, they say we're going to resurface it twice. One was 110, the other was 129, or something, 10 years apart. So then I said, how did they calculate that? And then I saw that at the top, and sure enough, that's what they're using to forecast out for 20 years.
All right, so
I mean, do you find this to be like what you have seen as pretty good numbers, or?
One question I've got is the square footage they're using. I've got Casey and I had quite a discussion this afternoon because Casey did some real-time measuring. One thing I learned since I talked to you, there's an auxiliary gym in the middle school. Did you name both?
Try to measure that one.
Okay, that may be part of it. And say there's two gyms in the high school. One,
The old annex gym.
but even so,
That's smaller than the main gym.
Oh, yeah.
the
So
disparity on their numbers. So we're going to check some of those things out because maybe they had an infrared gun and just walked into areas and that's how much it is. And
Yeah, I would look at stuff like that.
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that jumped out at me.
Well, I think it's important. I just wanted to make the point because we spent a lot of money on this that we hold their feet to the fire on how
Well, that's
accurate,
it.
you know.
And of course, you notice down at the bottom of page 3 on the high school, the last page of high school. I was running numbers when my math wasn't working. Then I realized they've got 50,000 added into year 2 to come back and do another study
For themselves,
Up there.
yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Look at that.
Oh,
I will see in 5 years, maybe.
But
That's what I was thinking.
if you have an
yeah,
opportunity,
really. I'm surprised next year. It's next year already. Because I mean,
This
they
is the
did
second
say that
year.
you'd update it periodically, but it was.
I thought it was 3 years.
Is
I
that?
did too.
But that's not for each. Why would they squeeze that in down there by the train?
but
That's the same reason why we got 15 grand in boiler equipment over there.
That we rent.
but there is a lot of detail there.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
There is.
And I obviously haven't had time. Casey hasn't. He just kind of gave us a cursory review.
And it was sent to Kenny Smith,
Right.
and we certainly have not heard from him with regards to his diving into the.
Well, you
There
know,
was a page
there
like
could be some
110
quid pro
before the
quo with the
information
bucket truck.
In their report.
Yeah.
We might
It was
consider
all
selling it
just
to
the-
you.
Oh, yeah.
This is how it's built, and this is how it's built, and this is what you have, and I'm like, all right, review, and just going page by page. I said, okay, after 110 pages, I'm gonna
Well, yeah,
put it
sure.
there for everybody, you know?
Go brain dead.
Another thing that jumped
I'm going
out
to
at me
excuse
was
myself and jump over to the.
Thank you.
when you compare Monocacy, your newest building,
To Birdsboro, it's really not that much.
Monocacy, what's that got? 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Amity's got 3.9 million.
Right.
And you, that, like you say, now you back up to Birdsboro, which
It's only
is
4.7, and it's 20. It's what 30 years old,
whatever. So
But some of those numbers might be front, like, are they front loaded in the earlier years for BEC and later in
Probably.
the years for
well,
Monocacy?
Well,
Does
you,
that make-
I think you kind of have to look. I mean, with
if you look at the summary here, starting with 15, okay, Birdsboro has 388, 324, 171, 227. You run all the way out, you got a 536 out there in 2027.
What's that, a
You got a
roof?
557
Yeah, I see
in
that.
2030.
There's some bad. I mean, there's some really bad. Would you say that that we would maybe peanut butter the total amount out across the 20 years and just come up with a flat amount, or would we go and say we actually want to try to put this much in the reserve?
Well,
'Cause there's a $4.2 million year here,
Yeah.
and then like there's a couple other really high ones, and then there's
well, wait. This is what it's going to cost us, though, right? Not what we have to put away. Right.
Well-
So we could put if we need $4 million in 2019.
well, you've got to play you're an insurance agent now. The actuarial numbers.
Yeah.
They
What-
say you're going to need in 2019 4,252,000, but you don't know how many things are going to die.
if you're actually going to have to spend that money.
Right. But I'm yeah.
So
But you'd have to budget for it in 2018.
yeah.
Well, I think you're
Right.
budgeting for it starting now. If
Yeah.
we need
Well, yeah.
600,000 next year, maybe you're putting $1 million away. Or
That's it. If
I mean,
you,
I
if you could,
Well, that's right.
Right.
I agree.
if you could increase these low numbers, it's kind of like a bond issue, working your way over and try to have some surplus built in.
It's $2 million a year, right? So 41 million over 20 years, right? So it's $2 million a year. If we
Right.
would you like, is that what you would do?
Well,
like
it's kind of like what I was saying earlier.
and then hope that you get enough in the fund.
you have.
we don't need a fund balance.
You look
We
at.
don't need to raise taxes. We have $2 million in the fund balance.
Look at, but just for instance, the transition house. I had said earlier, there's 160 some odd thousand over 20. And if you're saying it's $8,000 a year, well, 15, 16, 17, bifocals.
And
here.
18, yeah.
You got 3 years of free ride.
Right.
So if you had 24,000 set aside, well, the first hit you have is 13,000.
Right.
Okay, so there's a number of ways we can approach it, but
I mean, I'd kind of like to flatline it. It's just where my head's going, just to make it simple, so that we should be like, hey, we need to start budgeting for this. And it's funny because I brought that up when we talked about this budget, and I said, are we going to hurt ourselves down the road by using all this fund balance? And everybody looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Well, I think everybody knew we needed money in the capital budget.
Yeah.
But like I said, we discussed this. This study was going to be an eye-opener. When you look at it,
didn't know how much.
And you see you need $4.2 million in 1 year.
yeah. That's right. Now,
And it's only 4 years away.
That's
Well,
the
that's why
scary
I said
part.
if we do
Right.
2 million, we can build that fund up a little bit, maybe for the first 3 years, potentially.
the other piece that I'm incorporating into this spreadsheet that I don't have here, I'm forever playing with spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm making this a factor of millage, local
Oh.
effort.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a real good
Yeah, because,
And then I incorporate into that my PSER spike.
yeah.
idea. You don't even want to look at that number.
Yeah, that starts to get like.
What I did when I was up north,
It
I
drops after a
constantly-
couple of years. What good?
I had 3 things. I had PSERs, health insurance,
Yeah.
and debt as a factor of local effort millage,
Okay.
as if the state wasn't going to do anything for
Right.
me. But they could look at it at any time and say, okay, this is how much we're going to need next year for local effort, additional millage. And our growth up there was almost flat. I'm anxious to see what happens here. I should be getting my new assessed valuation from Berks County. Do they put it out in the fall in these areas down here? I always got one in October, one in February before the
Yeah,
municipal
well,
tax was out.
as I say, usually you'll get one in the fall for the end of the year, like October.
They don't
November, summer.
increase though, or.
No, but your assessed value changes all the
The
time
total.
because people reassess their property.
Yeah. Anytime property sells,
Oh.
there's changes.
You should get. In Montgomery County, we get them. Actually, we get them
Should get one.
monthly because we get the transfers.
nothing's
we get a
reassessed
transfer,
in
and it
Berks
tells you
County.
at the bottom what your assessed value is.
Yeah, they better
But
not.
I don't know how.
Nothing.
I don't know how they
But
do
anyway.
it.
I live in Birdsboro.
All I'm trying to do
I
is
live in
get the
Muhlenberg, trust me, I hope
relationship
not.
between this,
Well,
what we're trying to accomplish
That's a
with
smart
this.
idea. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
here's-
it's beautiful.
It's all
here's
part
what
of
I
the budget.
mean. I just said real quick. The 5-year need is 8.122 million. So it's 1.625 a year. And that's because
why I'm
not only
going
do you have
with
that 4.2, you got a 2.1 the year before it. So you almost have to go. If you need 1.6 a year, you almost have to go to 2. So you have a little.
You got to have a small buffer there because you're going to get hit harder some
And
years.
we don't have any buffer right now
Oh, we don't
because
have
we
any.
used it
But
on the boiler.
I think what we need to do is we need to bring this. Well, we'll bring it to the full board's attention. This needs to get a lot of play because this is just as every bit as devastating as retirement.
You have
These are-
copies
Oh, I
of
don't
those
know.
for the
These are
full
just a little
board?
more than
Yeah.
2
For everybody to-
Well, sure.
I think this is going to be a lot of our focus of the next couple facilities meetings.
Yeah.
Honestly, and then it'll go over into finance really for the.
And Casey, as he reviews this, he may come and say, hey folks, we need to pull something from year 3 out here back to here and
Right.
move this over here.
Is that your
these
plan
guys-
then to go through
these
this?
guys did
pretty
really-
deep?
Once I kind of get my hands around what the buildings really look like. And,
So like
and
tomorrow.
I thought I had it done tonight by about 10.
Well, I would say let's get rid of this this stuff with the vehicles. Let's get that behind us, and then let's get.
Well,
on
I
with
said
this.
we don't. This doesn't include vehicles, right? So we really
Yeah.
need a capital plan
I
for
was
the
going to say,
vehicles too.
I want a similar thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Lauren's going to do that. The city's going to do that.
I mean, just to give you a heads up on vehicles, right before I left Wilson, I bought an F-350 and I got it outfitted for towing a landscaping trailer that we had, an enclosed trailer. Had it beefed up and new plow, new LED lights, and I mean the whole zoom match. I was done, finished with it. It's like 31,000, I think, with sales tax and everything.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's 8-foot V
Was that
plow.
CoStars?
That's CoStars, yeah.
That's pretty good.
CoStars is that good for vehicles, huh?
I don't know. I think I paid more than that for
What's
my
that?
2008
For everything.
250 under
Not in my
CoStar. So
world.
that was a good
CoStars
deal.
is horrible in my world.
Really?
I can blow CoStars away.
What do you do?
Like in the print copy stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, CoStars is horrible.
Well,
now
what?
we've got this TCP.
TCPN is one.
So what I learned last year from CoStars, and I mean I'm buying up in the municipal world for 10 years. They always told us CoStars was the
No,
was
they're not
good
the best.
pricing,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
no, it's negotiable. I mean that's just the highest they'll go. It's
I
not the
priced-
lowest they'll
Yeah.
I
go.
priced 3 trucks. I priced New Holland Toyota, New Holland Ford,
Right.
Manderbach Ford, that was a CoStars vendor, and I think it was Red Hill Ford, which is the other CoStars vendor I could find within
Right.
a certain distance. $6,000 difference just in the cost of the truck.
Wow.
And they're all CoStars vendors.
We just did that with with the police cars.
They're
We
not
bought-
required.
Yeah.
You know, there's a threshold that they have to be
Right.
at.
Yeah, when we're on we were on for toner and stuff, so we could sell toner here, but all the school districts were buying it lower than CoStars. So we said, fine, we'll sell it to you at CoStar's price, but include service. So we started doing that with people, and it was like, all right, we can get a little skinnier than that. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it used to be years ago. CoStars was or the state pricing was your
Yeah.
best pricing, but it's
there's Peplum
really
too.
gone.
We used to do Peplum.
For technology.
Yeah.
The other big piece is turf equipment, because you've got a whole fleet of stuff that.
I was
needs
going to say, what
attention.
about mowers?
It's we're in need there as well. And actually, I started talking to the guys as to how they use the equipment and what equipment they use and what equipment they don't use. And there's a sizable amount of equipment that is not used.
Oh, really?
And there's a good hunk of that. There again, I want to use some of them as well, if I
Because
had
of
to,
the
just
age?
because of age and ease of use and stuff like that. But there's some equipment that they don't use that is good that we just have no need for anymore.
Oh.
You know,
So we
there's a
should
brush
sell it.
hog. There's a brush hog in the pole barn at the middle school, and that's probably a $4,000 or $5,000 mower deck that doesn't have many hours on it. Looks brand new. That we have really no need for a brush hog anymore. It's a 54 maybe or 60.
Is it a finish mower or a bush hog?
It's a bush hog. They told me.
They use that?
Guess they had a field somewhere that they bought it to maintain. I don't know if it was where the middle school was built or
Unless it was really rough.
Must
the
have been a
finish
really
mower
rough field.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't
Keep the deck high.
there again. You
Well,
know,
the
but they have
middle
a
school
they
fields
have a
were
top
really-
dresser that they never use. Well, I'll use that to spread the turf and fill.
When you
It's
get
too
in-
big for what I need, but I'm like, you know, I'll use it. You know?
I'm glad you guys are getting into that stuff. So when you just start making a list, like what
Yeah.
we're using, what
So
we're
like-
not
And
using.
there's some tractors that just need to be thrown away.
That 900 series over there that's a early 80s vintage too.
Yeah.
And it's just okay, so you just keep nickel and diming when if you had a schedule and you replace
Right.
that
Yes.
stuff and get rid of it.
Well,
Exactly.
when do you think you guys will have a handle on all that?
I'm hoping plow equipment this week.
Yeah,
That's
we're
kind of.
digging
I
on
need to
stuff.
clean
I mean,
this
I've
one
got-
room out this week, but I'm trying to not schedule myself real heavy so I can actually have some time to sit down and. In these first couple of weeks, I've just been running around trying to meet my staff.
Well, yeah.
I met some more today.
But with respect to all this other equipment, whether it's vehicles or
Yeah.
mowing equipment, whatever, what do you think? End
Well,
of
it's going to be a
November,
part of the budget.
1st of December? I mean,
Yeah, we did.
I
see a budget
plan
here.
on within the next 2 weeks
Oh,
to
yeah.
have him a list and Mary Beth a list to say, hey, this is what we have. This
Right.
is what we can use. Like what they do now is all their mowers are the John Deeres with the front decks. So they take the front they take the front decks off and they put a brush on it or put a snowblower on it, stuff like that. Yeah, they're handy, but A, they don't mow as quick as you really need to mow. They're nice for having the brush for snow removal, but I'd rather have something I can mow a whole lot quicker to save the guys the time out in the fields and be able to do other things. Because now what happens is the guys are just out there riding all day
Right.
long, and
Listening to music.
there's equipment out there that can make
Well,
life
if
a
you have
whole lot easier.
multiples,
that-
why wouldn't you have one that you can mow fast with, and one that
That's
you
kinda
can
my
put
thought
a
is-
right? Yeah,
you
okay.
know,
If we had a decent turf trailer,
that's the other thing.
we could go from point A
I
to
say,
the
how,
landscaper does.
Like now-
how do they do that now? Are there set maintenance or like grounds people at each school?
The way they do it now is you have Louie and Eric at the high school, you have Doug and Mick at the middle school, and then Harry floats between BEC and I forget where else, and then Mike Marino does the shrubs, and then floats between here and ADC and the middle school. Me personally, I can't keep a handle on them that way. I don't like that. Just me personally. I'd like to see them all report to one place in the morning.
And
I'd
get
be
their
in there in the
orders.
morning. I have no problem with my office being over here, but
Yeah.
meet them in the morning and have a trailer, that has the mowers on it. That okay, this week you and you are mowing, weed eating, and doing this, and then these guys are either doing deliveries or because then they're also doing deliveries as well. If somebody needs a delivery, maintenance guys are out delivering stuff. It's like why are we doing that when we have grounds guys?
Well, you guys make that call.
The
That's
deliveries
what
can be
you
done.
wanna do.
The deliveries can be done on rain days. When they're not out mowing, and that's just kind of stuff that getting to know the guys and getting to know
Right.
how they work and who does what.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit to do.
Yeah, it's going to take some time and.
The other thing we're discussing this afternoon, in this fleet that I was rattling off to you, you've got 2 maintenance vans, they're old Chevys. But why do we float around in a big old 15-passenger van / cargo van, whatever you want to call it, to pick up the mail and get it to the
I
bank?
was gonna ask that question because my neighbor, I guess, works part time. He's one of the delivery guys for the mail or whatever. Yeah, and he's got this van,
We saying, let's
and he
get a
picks up
pickup
mail and
truck that we
delivers
can use
mail or
for
something.
other
Why?
stuff.
Why do we? Yeah.
And they're only part-time. So that van's sitting over, well, the carpenter has one,
Carpenter has one,
but the other one sits over by the barn or sits someplace.
and there again, you can get rid of the carpenter's van, get him a truck with a utility body on it to keep his tools in it, and you can put a plow on it and then plow with it as well. So now you're reducing your fleet, one vehicle, and it's
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you're
it's not
increasing the
ideal,
effectiveness
but
of the asset.
it's just that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to go through and
Okay.
trying to figure out.
Well,
And I know a lot of times it's just the way it's always been done, and so right, and you're gonna have to, it's new blood,
And when
fresh
you're
blood. You're
100%
looking at
And
it
it's
from a
the
different
it's the
site.
same issues I had at Wilson
Right.
because they had in the budget every year to replace a vehicle. When I got there, their newest vehicle was 2009. I started in 2012. And I said, okay, guys, we need to now start planning a vehicle a year, and they started adding it back into the budget. Because I actually got the 350 for about 23 grand without the plow, without the lights, without anything. So, yeah,
You got
they're-
a Ford F-350?
I got an Ford F350.
For
I'm a Chevy
2050?
guy. I'm a Chevy guy, but I don't think Chevy makes a great plow truck. But if the price is good, they make a good plow truck. We had Chevys and Fords over at Wilson, but
The older Fords were better.
Whatever you guys
the
think.
Fords were tanks. You can
I
push
like
a lot better with a Ford, but I'm going to call around. And then this package on the back is
Yeah.
all of these items are done by Levan Machine Shop up on Pricetown Road.
Okay.
Pricetown Road in 73. That's who everybody goes to do their work. So I wouldn't go through Phelps to get it. I would go directly to Levan's.
You would just buy the
I
truck
would
as
just,
is.
and I would
then-
just, I would just,
Yeah.
I would work with because Levan's is CoStars as well.
Okay.
So, you get the
Yeah.
reduced pricing, and then you're under the threshold of CoStars. You're under the 18.5 with the labor included.
Yeah.
Anything over 18, it's 18.5 now or 22.5. I think it's 18.5.
It's
that-
18.5, I think.
Subject to the CPI.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd have to bid it out.
It'd have to be bid out over
If
it.
it
Now you
went
can
over.
buy $200,000 worth of stuff under CoStars, but if it's $200,001 and there's $1 labor, it has to be bid.
Well, you just get them the
Yeah.
price.
Act 82 changed a lot of things. too. So anyway, yeah, we got a lot of stones turned over here.
Well, I think you guys have
Really
been doing a
happy.
great job. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll keep digging.
it. And
And Burnsboro, they started the boilers they're going to start them Thursday and keep them on, just to give you a heads up.
Oh, okay.
Just train had some issues with the gas pressure because they didn't do their job in the beginning, and they now fixed it today.
What's
so they're
the
gonna-
story with them? I hear they're doing a lot of maintenance and they're billing us for some of this maintenance.
Well, that's another issue that we didn't have ready for tonight.
But I thought we paid them a pretty hefty service contract every year.
We do, and
It doesn't
there's not
cover
much
anything.
in it.
Yeah, it doesn't cover anything.
And the irony of it is
Yeah.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah. Let's, because we'll be starting soon. I was going to try to go back, if it works for everybody, to the first Monday. Because we can do revenue enhancement and finance then.
yeah, if that'll make it easier, sure.
We kind of got off schedule because there was holidays and other stuff, but,
So the first Monday of the month.
right.
And
And what we were doing was, I think, finance at 6, and then revenue enhancement at 7:30.
You mean facility?
I mean, yeah, sorry, facilities at 6, sorry, and then revenue,
Throw
because
me
it's
off.
the same, it's the same members for both committees, so that we can get them both in on the same night.
revenue enhancement at 7.
Low tech.
Yeah.
7:30. I
This
think
guy
it
I
is.
work with, he
But then
carries
I'm done by
around
9.
that
Like,
file
even if we go over, like, I just have a hard stop at 9.
Cell technology.
But we haven't been going, we've been done by
You
8:30.
mean like that?
Yeah, basically. That's fine.
The only conflict I would
You're
have on
covering
any of
the
those
same
is
mold.
I coach
Yeah.
the Muhlenberg bowling team. Most of their matches are Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm done by 5:45, 6 o'clock, so I may get here a little late.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up, you
Okay.
know.
So you want to do
Well-
the 3rd of November?
Yes, yes.
What time?
6?
6?
Starting at 6, and then we'll have facilities and revenue enhancement, which I think you're on both too, right? Yeah. I
I'm
think-
on revenue.
Yeah. Well, would it be better, I wonder then, if we do, is it better for you if we would do revenue enhancement first and then facilities at 7:30? Because then you were not.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I just
We could
know
flip-flop
that's the
them.
only
Okay.
that's the only thing I have.
I
is
guess,
just-
would you be here for revenue enhancement as well, do you
live
think?
here. I live here.
Okay.
He's got a cot right back there.
All right.
I can see it.
I'm
Okay.
flexible.
I mean, I don't really know who used to do revenue enhancement. I think it was
I haven't. I don't think
Am I on
we've
that
had a
committee?
meeting in.
since the spring.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
So facilities is,
We'll do revenue enhancement at 6 and then facilities at 7.
7 o'clock?
Yeah, 7 or so. I have to go back and say, right after it. I have to figure out what it is.
Put it in.
Block out 6 to 9.
Okay.
I'll bring
Alrighty.
pretzels.
Alrighty.
All right, so I'm gonna adjourn this meeting.